I want to talk to you about the county's budget. As you know, we have a budget right now of about $4.6 billion. That's a large budget. It's a lot of money. That's larger than many states. We have almost 1 million people in Montgomery County, if not 1 million. But over the last few years, we've had to make some really drastic changes in county government. I've reduced budgetary outlays of $2.6 billion over a 4 or 5 year period. And to do that, we've made a number of sacrifices. And the sacrifices that we made really hit people across the board. We eliminated for a number of years cost of living adjustments for our employees. We reduced health care and pension benefits. We furloughed employees. And we see here, in this chart here, that we eliminated 1,254 positions. It's a lot of people. That's 10% of the county's workforce, 1,254 positions. And when you do that, there's an impact to it, because at some point when you change positions, clearly the first round of it you may be able to adjust some of it because of retirements and movement of positions here and there. But at some point, you're talking about people. And you eliminate a position, you eliminated a job. Someone who works in the library, or someone who works in the transit's office. And that person has a job, a mortgage, a kid in school. And it impacts people. That was very painful to do. We'll talk about the libraries and how much we reduced the libraries over the last few years. That impacts staff. It impacts our ability to provide technology in the library. It impacts the amounts of acquisitions that we have for materials and those kinds of things. But it was hard. But to understand the magnitude of that, I want you to look at this and how we got there. In the years prior to the time that I assumed office, the 4 years prior to my time assuming the office as county executive, the county's budget grew by 42%. 1 year alone, 14.1%. That's clearly unsustainable. That happened before the onset of the recession, the Great Recession that we've had recently. And so my job in coming into office was how to make our budgets more sustainable, while at the same time providing the services and programs that you wanted for our county. The excellent schools, the quality of our public safety and everything else. But if you look at the years following that, the first year alone, we went from 14.1% down to 5.7%. In the following year, 1.2%, minus 0.9%, and then a whopping minus 7%, and then 1%. So the previous 4 years, the prior 4 years, we increased by 42% of the tax-supported budget. In the following 4 years, the same budget, there was for a 4 year period a 0% increase for all 4 years. That's unprecedented. So we've maintained our AAA bond rating. We've maintained good public service and public safety. Our crime rate has gone down. Our school systems are still the best. But it was painful. And you need to see and understand this pain and how we got there. Pain, in some ways, continues, but it is somewhat reduced. We're not looking this year at a budget. I think the number here you will see in 1 year. $975 million of budgetary shortfalls that we closed. That's almost $1 billion. And so this year, looking at our budget, the gap is only $130 million. And I never thought that I would say, boy, $130 million is a significant improvement, and welcome that compared to where we were before. And so you need to keep that in mind as we emerge from this recession. We will not emerge and do everything overnight. My plan is to do this gradually, because I do not want us to go back to the unsustainable days that we've had in the past and end up adversely affecting the county, thereby hurting this county in the long term. The decisions that we made were tough, but I believe that they were the right decision for our county. But I wanted you to understand the impact of this in terms of employees, in terms of the number of positions and everything else. If you look at FY13, we made a few improvements. We increased the budget, but we did it in a very careful way. One, after almost 4 years, we provided some pay increase for our employees, but it was not a COLA. It was not something adjusted to the base. We simply gave our employees just a cash payment. So it was not something that was like a COLA that is built into your base. In addition to that, coming to these meetings, and especially here, people talked about crime. And so we unveiled last year a 3-year program to increase our police officers by about 120 officers. We added 40 plus last year, 45 additional officers last year. So the number that you see is the 37 million basically into public safety. Now you see a number there, $60 million, a huge number that we provided last year. That's for retiree health benefit. That's a tough number, that's a tough sell. And the reason for that is many elected officials throughout the United States have walked away from providing that health care for our retirees. Why? Is because that, quote, balloon payment and that deficit really comes 8, 10 years in the future. And so people look at that and calculate, say, well, if I'm only in office 4 years, if this problem has happened in 10 years, I'm going to simply pass it on and let the next person take it. But it's not the right thing to do for a AAA bond-rated county. I decided that we were going to place the monies into the budget, insure up the retiree health plan, even though the problem in terms of its magnitude may not adjust until 8 to 10 years from now. Because we owe it to our employees, and we do not, and I do not want to pass that on to someone else. It makes us much more sustainable going forward. And the reason why that number is so important, many of you all probably didn't even know that we did that, because there's no favorable publicity about doing that. You know, you could take that money, and what most people do around the country, they take that money and they'll go out and build a rec center or a senior center or something else. That's easy, but when you do this, you're putting this money into a trust that you don't hear about, you don't know about until that balloon payment and the deficit continues to balloon up until sometime in the future. You don't cut a ribbon putting the $60 million into that trust. Had I taken the money and gone out and built a fire station, I'll be out the next day in front of the cameras cutting the ribbon, getting credit for it. You don't get any credit for that. So that's tough to do. But it's the right thing to do, and we did it. Now finally, I would say that we, as you see that final number there, we provided some monies for our employees. So even when we started to merge, we did it very carefully to make sure that we did not, in effect, do something that would get us back into the challenges we've had in the past. Now, we didn't resolve this simply by making cuts. We did something that was clearly balanced, unlike what they're doing down in Washington, D.C. Because one, we made cuts. But two, we also generated additional revenue. You may recall years ago we increased the property tax, one time over the charter limit. We increased the fuel energy tax that is very painful for many people to pay because you have to pay those bills. Businesses have to pay those bills, and some of them are hit disproportionately. And we did things such as the ambulance fee. Remember the big debate I've had for the last 4 or 5 years, trying to urge everybody to support the ambulance fee that has cost $18 million. It would be provided for the county. And we had this nasty debate about why we shouldn't do it, despite the fact that everybody around the region were doing it. Guess what? We're doing it. The ambulances are still picking people up. The world has not come to an end. It started January the 1st. And we're going to get monies for that to help our fire and rescue services that will aid us in not having to fill that up so that it helps our budget. And you don't have to pay an additional amount, and the ambulance will pick you up whether you have insurance or not. The world has not and will not come to an end as a result of that. Now, a balanced approach, an approach that provides us with a sustainable budget going forward, one that has made progress for us, that would allow us, hopefully, to restore places for the libraries and for youth programs and everything else. That's the approach that we've taken, and I believe that it is working. So now, it is your opportunity to either make a comment, ask a question, and we'll do that according to your instructions.
Let's start with you, ma'am. You're standing here, and as you stand, please do state your name and what part of the county you reside in.
I live here in Silver Spring, served in East Silver Spring. My name is Becky Reed, and I'm here as the president of the Friends of the Library. And thank you for moving the library, forward. It will come in 2015. I'd like to address a question of priorities. I'm really concerned about the technology platform that we need for the libraries. I understand that there's an 8-year platform, and we're just behind the times. If we're going to be moving into this wonderful new library, we really need to be up to date technologically, as do all of the other libraries in the county. And I would like that to, if possible, if we can move toward a 3-year cycle. I think that's a priority. We're just moving too fast in technological changes with all the young people coming up in our growing county.
Right. Well, first of all, I don't want to have a library by the time we open it's obsolete, so we're going to look very carefully at what we can do to adjust to what you've just described. And we have the technology people here and library people here as well that would hopefully be able to address more of your concerns.
I am Glenda Castillo, and I need to translate.
Okay, está
bien. Yo vine porque quería, estoy preocupada por la escuela Rolling Terrace.
I came because I'm worried about the school Rolling Terrace. ¿Es primaria o primaria? Elementary school.
Ajá, porque mis hijos caminan y no hay sidewalk.
My children walk to school and there isn't a sidewalk.
Y quisiera que pudieran hacer un sidewalk para que los niños caminen más seguros.
And I would like for a sidewalk to be built so the children can walk more safe and secure.
Is there a particular street without a sidewalk? Because I know there's some.
Ludlow Street.
Okay. We have our transportation people here.
Las personas del Departamento de Transporte están acá. Hasta el final, el señor que levantó la mano le puede ayudar.
Thank you for your question, ma'am.
Muchísimas gracias.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nancy Ferris, and my husband and I are volunteers at the Gilchrist Center, the county's Welcome Center for Immigrants. And we're here to ask you to restore the funding that's been cut over the last several years for the Gilchrist Center. The center is an inexpensive and effective program because it relies largely on volunteers, but the volunteers have to have some support. They have to have training, they have to have equipment, they have to have staff who can enroll people in the programs and schedule the programs and do all those good things to keep the program running. And I think that the program is good not only for the immigrants, but for the entire county, and I'd like to see you restore the funding for it.
Thank you very much.
My name is Peter Richmond. I'm now residing in the White Oak area of Silver Spring. I'm not an expert on macroeconomics or anything like that, but I was wondering what the business implications of the data that's been measured in the state as far as, I'm not sure what the index is called. It's an alternative to the GDP. It's like Healthy Living Index. It measures sustainability, leisure, what actually makes communities healthy. I was wondering to what extent that is being utilized in budget considerations and otherwise among you and the other policy makers and government officials. Unfortunately,
it is not an index that we've used, and I was asked last night by a questioner to consider that, and what we've indicated that we want to step back and look at that because that would be a major transformation in terms of how we analyze budgets, but it's something that we should seriously consider. But to be honest, it is not measured that way now, but we need to probably look at that to determine what's the impact on quality of life, real quality of life, as you just described.
Woody Brosnan, Silver Spring, president of the coordinator for the President's Council of Silver Spring Civic Associations, which last year did support the extension of the energy tax to support these vital programs. I'm glad we're not talking about crime this year. Thank you for that. A couple of quick points. It looks like the council and the executive are going to reach some agreement on a speeded up process for accessory apartments. That's good, but we're going to need some housing inspections to make sure that people aren't cutting corners. And that can be sustained by the fees charged to the landowners. So we need a healthy inspection process. And the second point is the situation with the trees in down county is really bad. Between Pepco and the storms, they're not being replaced in the right of way. The stumps aren't being grinded. And it's creating some real eyesore situations as well as lack of shade. So we really need to start looking at that.
Well, good news on two fronts. Councilmember Berliner has a bill in terms of the right-of-way that will address part of your concerns. I also have a major bill as it relates to trees that's now before the council as well. On the first point, I think that we will get more inspections, not just on the accessory apartment, but across the board. And one person who's really led the way on that has been Mark Eldridge, who is here now, who has really worked with the Department of Housing and others to go out and do more inspections, and we are committed to try to do as much of that as possible. But Mark has really fought to make sure that we do aggressive inspections and follow-up as well.
I'm Sharon Piper. I'm on the faculty at Montgomery College here in Tacoma Park, Silver Spring. I teach in the nursing program. My colleague Robin Flannery is here. We just want to thank you for your continued support of higher education in Montgomery County, and we hope that we can count on it to continue in the future. Looking at the budget, we know that the college is only about 5% of what you've got up there listed, much less than the public school system. But given the changing demographics in the county, the affordability and accessibility of college education here is still incredibly important, and Montgomery College does provide that. So we're hoping that you will continue to support the college, and that the county will continue to support higher education here through the county community college system.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Emily Sudbury, and I'm from right here in Silver Spring. I'm a lifelong resident of Montgomery County, and I'm with the Montgomery County Federation of Families for Children with Mental Health Issues, and I have other board members here, Irma Washington and Peter Lubis. And we are a nonprofit organization run by families in support of children and families facing behavioral, emotional, and mental health issues. And we just wanted to thank you for your support of our organization in the past, and we are hoping that you will continue in this budget to support our organization and other ones that are helping families face these mental health challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would also suggest that one of my aides is here, Assistant Chuck Short. I'm sure you know Chuck, but touch base with him in the back. Make sure that we follow through on the specific question, because there are a number of organizations and initiatives that I want to make sure I have straight as it relates to mental health. Okay? All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Hodge. I'm a Silver Spring resident. I'm also a member of the Montgomery County Commission on Veterans Affairs. And one of the questions that I have to ask you, Mr. Leggett, first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
One of the initiatives that was proposed by Gregory Hamilton, who passed away last year, was that the Veterans Plaza should include services for veterans. However, the name of the plaza is for veterans. However, there's no services in this plaza that are provided for veterans. So we'd like to see that if you could possibly start initiating some programs that will help our veterans in Montgomery County, in this building in particular. And the second question is, you mentioned sequestration earlier. Is that factored into the budget if in fact in 2 months it does happen where sequestration is going to hit real hard in the county?
Well, it could have an impact. It may not impact us immediately in 2 months, but over a period of time it will. Because one, we have a very large number of federal employees. And those employees actually pay taxes, and if their salaries are reduced or fewer employees, it will have an adverse effect on us in Montgomery County. Second, we have a large number of federal contractors, people who rely upon the federal government for contracting and procurement opportunities. So it would impact us as well. And thirdly, it could have hurt us in terms of our credit rating, because Moody's, Wall Street is looking very carefully, I think unnecessarily so, making the assumption that because you have such a large federal influence, that could hurt your credit worthiness. I think that we can withstand, based on the things that we've seen here, any real challenge to our AAA bond rating, but they've put out notice that as goes the federal government in terms of its creditworthiness, it may also negatively impact many of the jurisdictions around the country who rely upon federal dollars. So for those three areas, it will hit us, maybe not precisely in March, but over a period of time, a sustained period of time, it will have a pretty significant impact on us.
I want to thank you very much for attending our forum today, and thank you so much for your service as county executive. My name is Ernest Bland. I am a local business owner. This year we're celebrating 25 years. I am also the chair of the Silver Spring Urban District Advisory Committee. One of our primary missions is to provide advice to both the county executive and to the county council. There's some issues with respect to clean and safe which have become our mantra. And with respect to budget, which is I know is our topic of the evening, we're concerned about the fact that we've had a consistent continuance of a couple of years, or you know the statistics better than I, of how long it's been rather flat. Facilities such as this one, which the lady so eloquently just spoke of, as well as downtown Silver Spring, are beginning to be a concern. We're also concerned about the number of, not so much that we're concerned about the number of residents with these new residential developments, but most specifically the number of people that are increasing the foot traffic here downtown Silver Spring, and what that means in terms of upkeep. And so there are issues with respect to the unprecedented growth, the flat funding over the last few years, and the huge increase that affects us with the new the Fillmore, the advent of other activities downstairs and downtown, Veterans Plaza, and the nighttime economy and the growth therein. So basically, we're concerned about not having enough revenue. And I would like to also give a shout out to the red shirts. And those of you who don't know who they are, they do a lot for us in downtown Silver Spring. And I think they do a lot. And that's one of the main primary things that we are very concerned about. And thank you again.
We are analyzing the impact of the growth and the outpouring of foot traffic, as you described it, in Silver Spring, because this building, for example, is heavily used. The plaza is heavily used. And we have significantly increased the traffic in and around Silver Spring, and it would increase even more once the library and the other developments that occur in this area. We responded last year as it relates to some of the criminal and challenges related to that. But I think we need to go back now and look at some of the, what I call quality of life, visibility things that you just described. But I have to say here with somewhat of amusement that, as you described, the heavy growth in foot traffic in Silver Spring. When I was serving on the county council, we were trying to revitalize Silver Spring. We had just the opposite effect years ago. We had no one here. Now we have people here, and we have to make sure that we accommodate them in terms of the growth that's here. So that's a remarkable transformation of what has happened in a few years. Thank you for your question.
My name is Dawn Brosnan. I live in South Silver Spring. Along the lines of what he was just mentioning, we would ask that the focus of the Parks Department budget be to develop county parks in urban areas like South Silver Spring. We were left out of the large land acquisition effort from 2000 to 2010, and now land options are rapidly disappearing for parks. Our area can't wait 3 to 5 years for a park to be designated, and we can't wait 8 to 10 years for a developer to possibly create a park. We would ask that action be taken this year in South Silver Spring to move us toward a green park.
Thank you.
Thank you. You had a question?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leggett. My name is Ming Lo, and I live and work in Silver Spring. I actually walk to work, which is very convenient and environmentally friendly. Needless to say, I am with the Montgomery County Green Party, and folks were mentioning sustainability as well as environmental protection. My question is, what efforts is the county government making to reduce energy consumption, such as using renewable energy, local and Maryland farming, the government perhaps using a vehicle fleet of electrical vehicles, and so also combating suburban sprawl, which many of my fellow citizens have alluded to. So do you have a comment on reducing energy costs and increasing environmental sustainability? Thank you.
Well, let me just start off by saying our growth in the county has been remarkably, over the last 6 to 7 years on what we call smart growth and building into urban corridors. And so that's the major effort that we have in terms of land use. If you look at the county's growth, it is centered almost exclusively, the bulk of it, in high-density areas right at the core of transportation. Montgomery County is probably ahead of almost every other jurisdiction except for maybe Washington and Oregon in terms of sustainability of what we're doing today, whether or not it's wind, renewable energy, changing the fleet of the county's vehicle fleet, all up and down the line. But that's not to suggest that there's not more that we should do. And clearly there are more things we could do. We have, for example, a goal of increasing recyclables, for example, in the county, which is indirectly tied to that, up to a goal of 70%. Right now, we're the second or third highest in the country. We started, as you may know, earlier this year with a, quote, controversial bag tax that people now experience in the county as a result of waste and so forth. Virtually every effort that you can look at that has been either proposed or suggested within reason here or within the state or throughout the region, Montgomery County is either in front of, or if not, we're right behind in terms of adoption. That's not to suggest there are not other ideas that we should follow, and we're glad to follow those and glad to pursue those because I think it helps the county long-term and becoming much more energy efficient and sustainable.
Okay, I'll be brief. All right, thank you. My name is Larry Couch. I'm chair of the Justice and Advocacy Council of Montgomery County. We're an official voice of the Catholic Archdiocese of Washington. And we'd just like to acknowledge your work, Mr. Leggett, and the work of the County Council in protecting the programs that serve low-income people during these very difficult fiscal times.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Somebody else? Sir.
I'm Gary Glauber, live right down here in Silver Spring, and I am on the planning group of the Silver Spring Village, which is an organization, not a physical village, but an organization which, when we fly and we open the doors, will provide services to help seniors age in place. People may have been living in their houses for 30, 40 years, and because of minor things, they shouldn't move out. First, I want to thank Roberto Rodriguez and his staff from Silver Spring Center here in his support. Just want to remind you, sir, that the biggest request or the biggest need of the aged living in their own homes is transportation services. Right. And many of them can't walk to the corner and catch a bus. Right. We'll do what we can. There's other groups doing what they can, but it still is the biggest demand that we've heard about, and this is nationwide.
Well, first of all, there's good news on two fronts. Sometime this spring, we'll be announcing an initiative on how we can provide incentives for builders and developers to build and to not only retrofit existing homes, but to build in the future with incentives that would allow people to age in place. And that was a major initiative scheduled to come out this fall. Secondly, as it relates to transportation, we hope to make an announcement in the budget coming up pretty soon about a new transportation initiative designed to do precisely what you've said, to expand the services for seniors. That is by far one of the most important things that seniors want, the ability to go to do things from the doctors to the grocery stores and simply to enjoy a lot what's happening in the county, but are not able to do so with lack of transportation. We will start an initiative on both of those. It should be announced sometime this spring, probably close to the budget session. Thank you.
All right, over here, sir. Oh, this is two. All right, two over here.
Hello, my name's Anthony Francisco. I live here in Silver Spring, and I'm from Albert Einstein High School, and I'm here to represent Asian American League.
My name is Lonnie Fuji. I'm a sophomore in Montgomery High School. And as you said, we're representing A League, which is a nonprofit that serves Asian American youth in Montgomery County.
Okay, so we're here asking about youth program fundings. And our main question is, how do you decide the budget for youth program funds?
Well, first of all, the overall budget is decided based on a number of priorities that I've adopted. You may have seen a little bit earlier, but let me just summarize that by saying that we look at several areas to be a guide for me. One, public safety. We have to make sure that our fire, rescue, police and others provide the safety that people want, because if we don't get that right, very little else matters. The second one is education, and the third is, of course, providing resources to the most vulnerable within our community. And that vulnerability starts from seniors to disabled and large numbers of people in the county that need assistance. In addition to that, the fourth area is to expand and to grow the county's economic base. Those are the four driving principles that are at the top. What we recognized and started a number of years ago is an entire positive youth initiative whereby we have done things such as collaboration with Excel Beyond the Bell, mentoring programs, sports academies and sports programs for young people, and we've provided a substantial amount of money in those areas. We had to slow that down based on the earlier budgetary challenges we've had in the past, but we hope to be able to ramp those programs back up. It is my expectation in the budget upcoming that we will make some announcement about how we are going to do that in terms of future growth and development for positive youth initiatives.
Dick Paplin, Action in Montgomery. As a champion of affordable housing, in 2009, you committed $54 million to the Housing Initiative Fund, which funds all the affordable housing in the county. But this year, that fund is down to $38 million, which is about $15 million less. Last evening at the forum, you declined to set a number on that, but since it's been 24 hours, we thought we'd ask you again if you have a range for us and what you're thinking about the Housing Initiative Fund, and if you would like to commit to getting the county council to dedicate 2.5% of the property tax to the Housing Initiative Fund.
That's pretty good. That was very clever.
There's another forum on the 4th of February as well.
Well, I'm not ready to commit the number, but I do want to make an improvements on it. I put it that way. Thank you for your
All right, this side, you ma'am. Oh, I'm working row by row. This is going excellent. I think everybody's going to be able to express their concerns and questions and so forth. All right.
My name is Corey Van Cheery, and I live in Silver Spring. And I have children at Silver Spring International Middle School, and we're part of the Down County Consortium. It's a wonderful middle school, and it's partly because of what was the supports that were provided to this middle school. We have about a 48% farms rate, a large diversity. Our population is about 26% African American, 31% Hispanic. And because school was having problems a few years ago, they went to a schedule which was called an 8-block schedule. The kids get longer classes, half the classes on one day, half the other. It allows them deeper learning, and they have their homework every other day, so they do a better job with that. Our achievement has gone up at that school based on this wonderful schedule, the amazing electives the kids have, and now, because of the budget problems we're all facing, we're being asked to change the schedule to the basic 7 periods a day schedule, like other schools in the county that have not faced similar challenges. Parents are very upset about this, and we're trying to figure out what to do to make sure that our children can still get this deep learning, can still get access to electives, which they would lose by this schedule. And when we look at Eastern Middle School, which is also in the county, they changed to 7 periods a few years ago, and their music program, which used to have about 350 students in it, is now down to 30 students as an after-school program. And Silver Spring International, which is a model for its music program, has amazing electives, is worried that the same is going to happen to us. We also have 2 immersion programs in the school, and we're worried we'll be losing some of that intense language education that the kids get. So we're just hoping that the budget problems that we've been facing don't cut the school back so far that we lose programs, but we won't be able to build back up quickly.
Yeah. Good news and bad news related to that. One, we can't cut the schools back but for so far, even if there was a political will to decide to do so because of maintenance of effort. We are tied to that. The question now is, what recommendation will I make, whether or not it exceeds maintenance of effort? I will not make a decision about the budget until I've got all of the factors in front of me, the school's budget, what our revenue projections are, what the other demands may be, how our future projections are outlined. And at that point in time, I'll make a decision about the overall budget and about the school system. But the school system is not in a position where you'll be going back. The only question there is, how far do you go ahead? Because the maintenance of effort would certainly preclude you from doing that.
All right, Anthony, you had a question? Let's roll.
Good evening, Mr. Leggett. My name is Kelly Dutton. The other gentleman made mention of the Housing Initiative Fund. I'm a recipient. I wanted to thank you and the county council members for the program. It allowed me to stay in my great-great-grandparents' property located in Mount Zion, Maryland, as a result of the program. My direct inquiry is regarding being able to work with the task force about the experience that I had working with Chief Joseph Galoli, as well as Mr. Rick Nelson, I believe, is the head of PHCA, if I'm correct? Okay, excellent. I just wanted to share my experience. I'm grateful and thankful for the program that's in place, and just wanted to let you know that as well.
Thank you, thank you. Keep in mind, despite all of the budgetary challenges we've had, quietly under the radar, over the last few years, in terms of what we've done with the housing initiative funds and affordable housing, we've either been able to maintain, construct, rehabilitate, or enhance somewhere close to 8,000 affordable units in Montgomery County, despite what we've seen now. Why were we able to do that? Because we had this housing initiative fund. We had some willing partners who we could work with, Housing Partnership, Habitat for Humanity, as many others. And by having that lump of money available, when construction costs was going down, we were able to build more. And when the borrowing capacity was cheaper, we were able to leverage that and take advantage of the recession for housing. And Rick Nelson and his team have just done a spectacular job with that. And as the gentleman indicated earlier, that has been one of the areas of great success. But there's still more to do because we still have a long list of people, especially seniors, who need affordable housing in the county.
All right, sir, you had a question. Can you please stand? Thank you.
My name is Bob Colvin. I'm from East Silver Spring. About 15 years ago, HOC took over the house in Jessup Blair Park, the Moorings. That's probably our most historical building down here. They converted it into 8 apartments with the idea if the apartments didn't continue to be used, they would restore it back to its original condition. So after they gutted it, and about 5 years ago, it was in such bad shape, they had to put the tenants out. It's now moldy, it's been sitting there for 5 years, and HOC has not lived up to their promise to restore it. Can anything be done to push HOC to get on the ball and get it restored to its original condition?
I want you to talk. Rick, would you hold your hand up? Rick is the head of our housing department. We do not control HOC, but we'll be glad to look into the challenges at HOC and see whether or not we can work with them to resolve their problem. Give me the name of the property again now. Okay. Okay. All right. We got it.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Leggett.
Good evening.
I got a concerning thing going on in my neighborhood. I don't know if the county can do something about this. How you guys can control a banker to sell a house in a neighborhood that's been out for almost 7 years in my neighborhood, and Cole County and county's not doing anything?
I'm not sure. I think you may want to take that up individually with us because that seemed like a very complicated and legal matter. And if there's anything which the county can do, we'll be glad to listen to it. But give your name and address and stuff to Rick over here to the left, and we'll be able to try to address that directly.
Rick? There he is.
Okay.
I have another request too.
Sure.
On the park we have in the area in my neighborhood, the park called is the Stony Brook Park. I called a couple times for water problem. We don't have any water to drink in the place. And I called a couple times. They told me they cannot do anything because of the fiscal problem that you guys have with the economy. And that park don't have any water at all to drink. And people are making a lot of mess in the park, bringing bottles, throwing the bottles around. And I don't know, they didn't do anything about that water problem yet.
The parking planning property?
Yeah, I called somebody, someone told me they cannot do anything because the problem is coming from inside the building. So I don't know what's wrong inside the building, they cannot do anything on it.
Okay.
And also, we're gonna need probably like police surveillance in that area because it's getting so crowded at the park, especially in the summertime. And I see some minor things going on there, like people doing stuff in the park, like needs for the bathroom and stuff. We didn't have no bathroom too in that place, so I requested a portable bathroom, so they put it one. But we need probably the police to come around sometimes to look at it because when it gets so crowded, we need somebody to come and look at it probably.
All right, we'll have to work with the park police to make sure that they address that. You may recall a couple of years ago, I said there should be one police, not a park police and a county police. It's inefficient, too many different communication systems, too many levels of bureaucracy, and you'd have thought World War III had developed. That we couldn't bring county police into parks and all of this kind of stuff, and I still believe we need to go back to that, but thank you for your question.
My name is John Allen, I live in Bethesda. I want to ask you if you would consider requiring that the electricity that powers county buildings come from clean sources, meaning wind and solar. Thank you.
Thank you. Got it.
Ann, you had a question? See if this works better.
Hi, Mr. Leggett. I'm Susan Hoffield, Executive Director of Rebuilding Together. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you and the County Council and the Department of Housing and Community Affairs for their support of our organization. As you know, we deal with the invisible low-income homeowner in Montgomery County. We're trying to help the elderly age in place. We're trying to help disabled live in a safe house. We're trying to help families with young children have a safe and healthy home. And I just want to thank you for your support.
Thank you for what you do for the county. Thank you.
This is just a quick comment. Barbara from YMCA Family Services. And I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Leggett, for all your support for youth programming. And to say that in light of the tragedies in Connecticut, to keep that in mind in terms of your support for youth programming, keep it in mind in terms of supporting mental health prevention and early intervention programs. And in addition to the gun control questions that we need to answer, that supporting prevention and mental health is very, very important.
I couldn't agree more.
Sir, if you can stand over here.
Mr. Leggett, thank you for coming to be with us in Silver Spring. My name is Evan Hernandez, and I'm the Program Sports Manager for the Long Branch Athletic Association and Impact Silver Spring. We're here with some of our high school basketball players from Long Branch. And very quickly, sir, our sports program are more about sports. With the help of Ramberto and Joe Rue and the leadership of the Silver Spring Advisory Board, we were able to create a new prototype of community jobs project to link our young people with home and businesses owners in our community. The result was 14 young people earned over $6,000 in income to buy stuff that young people buy, help their families, save for some money for college. With continued funding from the county, we can grow this simple yet effective opportunity to other communities like Wheaton and East County. Question for you, sir. What is the state of the youth unemployment in the county, and what other innovative practices have you seen to alleviate this challenge?
The state of it is not as good as we would want, but better than most other communities. The most is not anything that's innovative. In fact, it's very basic. What we need, basically two things. One is to try to make sure that young people stay in school. Secondly, provide enrichment programs for them after school so that they are able to work. Thirdly, is provide some mentoring programs and jobs opportunities for them. There's nothing innovative about it. It is simply a basic, straightforward effort. What we have not been able to do is to do more of the fundamental things that our young people do. So we don't need to go out and create a new wheel. We just simply need to fund and make certain that the programs we have work effectively.
My name is Becky and I'm 13. I go to Silver Spring International Middle School. Please keep community bridges in the budget because I like being in the program because we get to talk about our identity and getting to know yourself. It helps boost up our self-esteem and it's really good for us.
Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for having us over here. Thank you for being here. I'm the chairman of IEEE, Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers of Northern Virginia section. And I'm also one of the review panel for NASA DoD Office of Naval Research National Science Foundation. So I have a couple of comments and a couple of feedbacks.
Make it short now, we can't go long.
Sure, exactly. We have a housing community, and Mr. Rick Nelson is over here. So we have two overlapping departments which I have seen, like the permitting services And then we have the code enforcement. A lot of things I see in their activity, a lot of overlapping. So as we have budgetary constraint, I think we can invest more money on the education and next generation, rather than if we can able to reduce some bureaucracy of the some departments and reduce some of the cost in that way, so that we can invest on tomorrow's American future generation. And that's one of the comments. And also, I think this county is one of the very good county, and I appreciate for you leading this county. I think we need to work together on the education system and science and technology STEM program. Those are the things I would like to focus. And on behalf of IEEE, I'd like to do more partnership to the county and all this kind of programs, so that we can work together to make a better future tomorrow.
Thank you for your question. I couldn't agree with you more in terms of fundamentals of that. I really want to do more collaboration, mergers, and consolidations in county government. And people in this room will know and tell you that I've been pushing for consolidation across the board, whether or not it's in education, parking, planning, county government, state and local government, and I'm a big, big fan of it. But you would not believe the bureaucracy and the interest groups that supports the current kinds of arrangements that really defies logic at times. And I was only joking a moment ago about the park police and the county police, but we showed very clearly where it would save monies, and people came out in droves and said, oh, you can't do it. The park police, they can't drive in the parks. They're gonna run over the deer. I mean, it was the comments that we got, and unbelievable. Ask Councilmember Irving. He was there part of the helping me to fight through some of this. So I agree with you, and we need to do more of it. So you have no problem right there. Yeah.
Can you able to direct me to some people, so that on behalf of some organization like IEEE, one of the oldest and largest organization, where we have our own legislative in the Capitol Hill, I'm more than happy to work with your education system and encourage more students to go on the science and technology, right, because that's the only way we can come out of this deficit, because we need more innovation and invention.
Well, we have to get you in contact with the school system, because they were the ones who control the curriculum. We can direct you to those people.
My name is Dr. Butler, and I'm the Executive Director of Gapbuster Learning Center. And I want to thank you for continually funding us. But one of the things that I'm here about again today is, remember, I was here 3 years ago, space. We still don't have space within Montgomery County. We've been having to fight every day to get space somewhere to utilize to help our students. Wheaton took us in this year, and we started a NESB program, a National Society of Black Engineers program. So the gentleman was talking about engineering and in the STEMs, please contact me, because we need mentors at Wheaton High School. But one of the things is, we also do SAT prep every Saturday. One of the buildings that we utilized, they had a main break. This weekend I was looking for space. We had to cancel our SAT program, and the SAT is coming up this month, and we had to cancel it because we couldn't get space anywhere in the county. So we tried to get space here, and of course they said it was booked, and we tried at the libraries, they were booked, and so it's really difficult if you're doing these programs, you're getting students into college, they're doing well, but then we can't continue our services. So please, I'm here again urging to try to help us find some type of space to utilize so we can help our students here in Montgomery County.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Sosa, and I'm a senior at Montgomery High School. And that's Skylar Carranza. She's a senior there too. We appreciate what you've done for the youth and the community, and we'd like to say that we'd like to ask what you guys would do for more facilities for us youth, because it gets very crowded with like time management. Like some people want to practice at sometimes, but there's not enough space, so space is an issue.
You mean the space at the school? You said?
No, recreation departments.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Fran Rothstein. It's nice to see you, Mr. Leggett. I live in Sligo Park Hills in Silver Spring. I have a big picture question for you. Part of the reason that we have the budget shortfalls that we have is because we don't get what we should get from the state. Our county may be the wealthiest in the state, but we also have a lot of poverty. We have people who have lower incomes than they used to have. And I would like to know what more you can do with our state delegation and how we as residents of the county can help you to get what we deserve from the state budget.
Well, first of all, it's not our delegation per se. I think they get it. It is the delegations in other communities who still look at Montgomery County as a cash cow.
Oh, I know they
We're
get
the
it,
big ATM machine of the state. And so our efforts need to be that we need to continue to work with other people around the state in collaboration. For example, we're looking now at transportation. We can't get there without the cooperation from Prince George's County, the city of Baltimore, and other places to help us. We will never get back dollar for dollar what we send to the state, nor do I believe that we should, but we should be able to close the gap between the disparity of what we get and where we stand today. I just think that it's simply a matter of hard-nosed politics with other communities, other jurisdictions, other delegates and senators around the state, and getting the support of the governor and the leadership there to follow that. And what we have not done enough of is to hear from the average person in Montgomery County, because when you say, for example, that there is poverty, that goes in deaf ears. What we don't do is the people go like here to Annapolis on many of these bond bills and other initiatives to really testify and be part of the process. And so we need to engage our public broader. So when we say poor people, it's not something on a piece of paper. It's the people sitting in front of you talking about their life story. That's what we need to do more of. Last question. Last question.
You're this evening's last question. You're the last one tonight.
Oh, then it pays to wait, doesn't it? My name is Lynn Westrup, and I'm with the Sligo Grandview Community Association, which is part of the Long Branch community. And I'm going to ask a question about libraries, and I just happen to be coincidentally sitting here with all these wonderful library groupies. But specifically, I wanted to ask if we could extend the open hours for the Long Branch Library. I've been hearing about cutbacks in after-school programs, and the Long Branch Library, except for 2 nights, well actually 3 nights a week, closes at 6. Now we have an area of densely populated apartments, and that library offers a place for kids to study after school. It offers access to computers for kids that may not have them at home to do their schoolwork and research. And it also offers a place for people to do job searches. So I'm hoping that you could look at Long Branch libraries in particular to extend the hours, especially on Sunday. Thank you.
Let me respond this way. I will have to sit down and talk to Mrs. Parker about the hours, because I don't want, as county executive, to make a decision that she and the library board should be making about the hours. I think it's incumbent upon me to try to provide the resources and the flexibility so that she would have the ability not only to respond to Long Branch, but other libraries as well. But I think it would be wrong for me to select Library A versus Library B versus, okay, we're going to give you sufficient funds to address this concern as well as others, but it's your decision in terms of how you use those dollars. That's what I think that I should be doing. But I would certainly be glad to talk to her about library hours, the impact in certain communities, but I don't want to make that decision for her. What she looks to me for is provide me with the flexibility so that I can address libraries in Silver Spring, Long Branch, and others as well that may have the very problem that you have. Okay? Let me conclude by simply saying this. I will be back here next month at the State of the County's address right here. We're having it in Silver Spring this time. It's February the 20th. I think it's 7 or 7:30. You'll have a grander view about the state of our county, where I'll see our future going, and to provide a platform and a foundation for how this county continues to grow and prosper. I heard a great deal of what you've said. In fact, I heard everything that you've said, and a great deal of those things that you've stated, I think, are things which we've been working on, and it's reassuring to come here to hear you talk directly about those challenges. I consider this to be important because, again, 98% of what is submitted, not just for me, but virtually for every county executive in history, is probably what the county council is going to approve. So it's important to have your input prior to that decision. But you can also now go to the county council once that budget is submitted and get a chance to talk to them about things that are there. I wanted to see if Councilmember Mark Eldridge, who is here, who's a council member at large but lives in the Tacoma Park, Silver Spring area. He may want to have a closing remark. Mark, an opportunity to say hello.
Thank you. Well, first of all, it's really great to see these many people come out. It's really important because these kind of discussions and meetings affect how people where I sit respond to the issues that get raised. And I want to thank Ike for the kind of leadership he's provided the council. I don't think people realize how hard and how frustrating it is to basically try to keep a ship afloat when all of us come to office wanting to do more and figure out what are the good things we should be doing, and to discover that the hardest job in front of you is to keep the county sound and safe and able to survive. And I think I'm really glad I supported him. I'm really glad he's county executive. I think he's done a remarkable job. The two things I comment on is, one, I hope people are paying attention to rapid transit. I've got a proposal out there that the executive's been very supportive for bus rapid transit. I think it's absolutely critical that we figure out how to move people. But the other thing is, he made a comment about consolidating departments. And he's absolutely right. Every consolidation he proposed could not get support from the majority of the council. And I think it's absolutely fundamental, because even though things are better than they were, they are never, not in a long time, going back to where they were during the bubble. And if we're going to provide services and do the kind of things that people expect us to do and deliver, then we have to figure out how to run the county government smarter and leaner and better. And the alternative to cutting services is to operate more efficiently and get more out of the dollars you already put in there, rather than just leaving the structure intact. And I'm going to continue to support the executive efforts to realign the county budget. I think he was right on all three of the departments. He attempted housing, he attempted recreation, and he attempted the police to really do, I thought, were thoughtful and prudent consolidations. I think we have to continue to look in that direction. And I hope that people will raise it an issue that between raising taxes and cutting services, there is the third alternative of doing a better job of running the place with the assets that we have. And I think he's been a great leader in trying to lead us there, and I'm going to continue to work with him, and I'm just grateful that everybody came out tonight. So thank
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
The #1 thing you can do to prevent catching and spreading the flu is to wash your hands. Use soap and warm water to work up a good lather. Make sure you wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, or as long as it takes to sing the ABCs twice. Also be mindful of hygiene in your workspace. Health officials suggest using hand sanitizer. Wiping down surfaces like your phone and keyboard with antibacterial cleaner like this.